This is the second part in the series of videos on fixing Bane. Our last video dealt with fixing the hands on Bane by replacing the back end with pegs off of a Metacom hand, gluing them in and then putting them into drilled holes into the arm, completing the project. It took about an hour. This time, we're going to concentrate only on fixing Bane's legs. To be upfront, be advised that this fix is only to keep the legs from slipping off of their position. It does not make the joint any stronger. It does not make it that much more poseable. It is only to keep them from slipping. I'm going to take you through a list of the materials that I used to produce the fix on this product, and then I'll tell you what it is I'm going to do before showing you in the time-lapse camera. As you can see here in the close-up, this is a peg that is actually used in the Mcfarlane bodies. So this peg is actually already installed in the hip joint on the Bane figure. However, we don't see it because it's underneath the trunks. The part that we do see are the pegs that are the ones with the problem. Why they didn't extend this peg into that area, that I don't know. But this is the peg that we are going to install on our figure to fix that situation. Now we're going to be grinding this down to a stump on both ends because we want it to fit tightly on the top and on the bottom. We don't want to use glue to fix the figure in. If you want to use glue, that is totally up to you. Let me show you where this donated piece came from. If you have that Target exclusive for a Batman Beyond, this is the piece that donated that hip joint. So I have already produced this on one leg. I am now going to show you how to do it on the opposite leg. Part of our materials is consisting of a 1/8 drill bit on our Dremel to drill a pilot hole to then use the next drill bit, which is a 3/16 DeWalt bit. This is going to be on the larger size of the peg that we're going to be using, larger stump that we're going to put into. From then, after we clean that up, we're going to change drill bits, and we're going to use now a 1/4" drill bit on our DeWalt drill to then open up that just a little bit larger, and then we're going to switch again to our Dremel and clean up the mess from these drills and widen that hole even bigger for that stump to fit in as tight as possible. Any of the cleanup on the inside, any of those ridges, we'll use this drill bit on our Dremel to clean it up entirely. And this is the grinder that we're going to use on our Dremel to grind down that peg into a stump on both ends so that we have the appropriate height and the depth that we need to produce that peg and fix it in securely. Now, the very first step that we want to do is put in a small divot in the center of the leg, just above that dimple that shows up when you bend the knee. This is now the stump above where it would connect onto the torso. We want another divot here. Why? Because we don't want that drill bit to be slipping off center, and then we're going to have problems if it does. Then we're going to switch to the larger drill bit and open up that hole wider. We are then going to switch to that 1/4" drill bit and open it up even wider. Next, we're going to clean up the mess that is left by those drill bits, and at the same time widen it just a bit more to fit that peg. And anything on the inside, those ridges that are in the inside, we will clean up with this drill bit. Here is one more quick overview of all the materials we're going to use. Here is Stumpy ready to go, and there is our Dremel. This is exactly what we need to do this fix on both legs. Once again, I've already fixed one. This is the second leg that we're working on, but this time I recorded the process. The whole process should take you roughly about an hour if you take your time. If you've got all the tools and you're really handy with those, it should take you just a bit less time. Now I've sped up the camera just because I've already explained to you exactly what I'm doing. So now that I've ended up grinding down the stump, I am now ready to install it. Now before you do any fitting, make sure you heat the plastic so that you can force that piece into it. It's going to be like a wedge. It has to fit tight. The hole cannot be the exact diameter as the peg you're using. It has to be smaller. So this peg here will now fit into the leg. It is just above the knee. That divot that you see underneath, that is actually the ratchet that's in there. And if it goes too deep, it's going to hit it and it's not going to sit down properly and grab that lip that's on this larger peg. So the peg that we have in here, as you can see, it is wedged in there. It is tight. It is not coming out. Do not glue this top end. If you are deciding to glue something, only add glue to the bottom of the peg that's going into the leg. So now, let me show you how this fits after you've done all that drilling and all that grinding and sanding. Move the entire stump over to the edge, match it up, turn it and twist it until it locks into that lip. There, you're all set. It is not coming off. You'll have to force it off if you want it to come off. At this point, it's ready to go. We're set. Both legs are done the same way. Now, unfortunately, with this figure, these gaps are unsightly and it's just that way with the figure. You're not going to get rid of those ugly gaps. So, if you wanted to, once again, at this point you can decide if you want to glue it down and have it fixed. As you can see here, these gaps are pretty much common with this figure, but the figure now stays. You have a swivel because it is not glued in, and the bottom peg stays in by force because it's wedged in there under a smaller hole that fits around that peg. Now this is the same figure that I used on the last video, or the first video I should say, to show you how to fix the hands. And I ended up having to fix the hand that I actually fixed. I broke it. It was too much of a weak plastic, so I replaced it with another Medicom peg exactly the same way. Glued it back in there, and this did the trick. This plastic was much stronger. So it's the same process. You just have to see the first video to see how I did it. Let's continue on with this figure. So our figure is ready for action. It's ready for its photos. Now, a word of caution. Just because we did this fix so that it keeps from slipping does not mean that you shouldn't handle the figure with care. These joints are still weak regardless of what fix we give it, because we're limited as to how far we can put that peg into that leg. So you still have to use two hands to position it correctly. If you are an extremist and you want to have those extreme action photos, then you're going to have to go to an extreme measure to get those poses out of this figure, because those shorts are a very thick plastic and it limits the posing that those legs can do. So once again, watch the next segment and I'll show you exactly what you need to do. If the photography in extreme poses is what you need, then this is what you need to do. What you're gonna have to do is heat up that plastic along those shorts. Take your sharpest knife and give him a Speedo. You're gonna have to cut the plastics and give him some little bikini shorts, because otherwise those legs are not gonna go any further. Personally, I'm not doing it. I don't like the way it looks. There is a texture under that plastic. It just doesn't look as nice as the texture on the clothes that are on the exterior. It's up to you if that's what you want to do. You're the one who's going to look at it. But at this point, Bane is ready for painting. So this is one that I've already finished previously, and I'm shooting on my cell phone, so the light is going to be inconsistent. But this is where we want to get to at the end of our next video, is painting the torso, the arms and the chest, to match up and look as well as real as we can get. So in this segment, you are looking at a Bane that has lights in the tubes. If you want to learn how to put in those lights, you can certainly watch the other video that is linked here. It will show you step-by-step detail where to acquire those lights, how to position them, how to put it into the arms, into the head, how to customize the head. There's a lot of detail in that video. Definitely too much to go into in this small segment. Now remember, this fix that we did, it is not permanent. It will only make it permanent if you glue it down. And if you glue it down, only glue the bottom peg into the leg. The top of the peg, leave unglued because you want to have that swivel. If you glue the top and bottom, you will lose the swivel altogether. So I hope you liked the video. I hope that it was useful to you and it has given you some ideas or some kind of inspiration. If you've got a better idea on how to fix these legs, let me know. I'm all ears. And of course, if you do like the video, please share it, please subscribe, and comment. And hopefully this video has inspired you for the next one on how to paint the torso and the arms. I'll leave you with some video of the unpainted and painted version, and hopefully we'll see you here again in the next segment. Enjoy your customizing.